Let's have a look at the Microsoft Excel template that we've made for dental professionals to create a personal development plan and record CPD activities. It's available free of charge from our website. I'm showing the desktop version of Excel here, but you can also use the online version or the mobile versions. You simply need to install the respective app. The online and mobile versions aren't quite as flexible as the desktop version, but they will do the job. When you open the template, you will see this introductory page. It simply describes what the activity sets out to do and how it does it. You enter your details, you then create a personal development plan. We've provided some questions to help you do that. You record your CPD activities and then also your reflections. Then the reflections are used to update your PDP. You carry out more CPD activities, etc. As you use the template and record this information, you will be able to audit all of your CPD, which will be very useful not only to submit the required information to the GDC at the end of each year, but of course also to actually assess how effective your CPD really is and how it's helping to improve your career and your patient care. We do recommend that you store your template on the cloud. OneDrive makes a lot of sense because that includes an online version of Excel and it's free. If you use the cloud, it means that you've got your template available through any device. So for example, you could be using it at home on your desktop PC or your laptop or your Mac, and then when you're out and about you can update it and view it on your mobile device. So let's start. We can either click on the Start button here if you're using the desktop version, but if you're using one of the other versions, the online or the mobiles, you will need to use the tabs at the bottom of the screen. So we can do either that on the desktop version, but if you're on a mobile, you'd need to click on Professional Details here. Let's just zoom in a bit. Professional Details, put your name in, Floss Daily I'm going to use here. Profession, you click on this little arrow there, okay, and it will give you the professional categories. So I'm going to say that Floss is a dentist. Registration number 23456 and the cycle year date. We will stay with 2018 to 22. You'll note, by the way, that you can see this box up here. If you don't want to see that, if you go to the View menu and then select Headings and Formula Bar, it will all disappear and we can get rid of it like that. I'm going to keep them open though. So that's the first step. If you don't know what your 5-year cycle date is, use this link here. It'll take you to eGDC portal, log in, and the information will be there for you. You then just put it in here. The next step is to create your personal development plan. Click on About You or use the tab at the bottom. And what this shows is a series of questions. You don't have to use these. We've simply provided them to help you create a practical personal development plan. These questions will help you identify what your learning needs are. You'll notice that on each of the tabs we do provide instructions on the left hand side. Some of them have additional information at the bottom too, so please do take some time to read it. You should find that very handy. So the first set of questions are looking at what you want to do over your 5-year cycle. So for example, what do I want to be doing in my professional practice? And put some examples here. OMI practice, specialised in endodontics, etc. What do you want to be doing outside of work? What balance you'd like to achieve? What do you need to do to achieve these objectives? And what are the obstacles? These are fairly standard questions, but if you take some time to think about your own situation and then enter what you want to do, these will become learning needs that you will actually then transfer to your personal development plan. A couple of tips when entering information in here. If you do want to put line breaks in, so for example, let's just take this out. Hold down the Alt key on your keyboard. And there we go. If you want to do that. Otherwise, just type the information in the box. Let's move along. We then go to your current situation. So these are all more immediate needs. So questions about your workplace. So describe what you do, your patterns and terms of employment, your roles and responsibilities. How does your work support you in doing those? Or any challenges that you've found, or any improvements maybe that you'd like to suggest? Put them all down here. We then move along to your clinical and professional. So for example, your particular talents, your strengths and weaknesses, etc., etc. And it moves along. The final question here is about mandatory recommended training requirements. We actually have started you off in the PDP by including all of the GDC recommended and highly recommended topics because they're relevant to everybody. Technically they're not mandatory, but they are effectively treated as such. So you need to be able to do those, and they should of course be in your PDP. But there may be other ones as well. For example, you might work for a health authority or a corporate and there are specific training requirements. There might be CQC requirements or health and safety. Put them in the box. Once you've done that, you're then ready to construct your PDP. These will become your learning needs. So once you've identified your learning needs, you move to the PDP worksheet. This is where you list them and you will specify activities to match. You may well, of course, find that there's many more than one activity required to meet a learning need. It will depend on exactly what that learning need is. What we've done here is list as learning needs all of the GDC recommended topics and the highly recommended topics, because this is relevant to all dental professionals. What you will need to do first of all is amend these to match your requirements. What we've done is to provide some examples. We've provided activities which are courses on our website with links to them. And then we've filled in some extra information to help you. So for example, here we see a learning need as complaints handling, because that is a GDC recommended topic. That's how it's relevant to the field of practice. This is the anticipated development outcome. The development outcome can be obtained from a CPD provider's course information. This column is for you to be able to specify what you expect the benefit to be, and this is the activity. So we've, for example, here have listed complaints, why they happen and how to resolve them, and we've given that a due by date. There's also a status. You have three options here. When you click on this, there's a little triangle there and you can specify due, overdue or completed. And then you can also add success criteria and how you will measure success. The columns that you do need to enter, we have highlighted here. The header is in orange and the information has a pink background. You can of course change the colours if you wish, it's entirely up to you. So you need to specify the anticipated outcome for the activity and its due by date. Those are the three things that the GDC requires should they request to see your PDP. And later on I'll show you how to export that information very simply. You'll of course also need to have a learning need as well, because that needs to match the outcome. But these are the three columns. This is the three sets of information that the GDC requires. If we look over here on the left hand side, you'll see that we have provided some information on how to make best use of this section. In particular, so when you set an activity, ideally for it to be successful, it should be smart, measurable, achievable, realistic and timed, the SMART acronym. We've also provided, scroll down a little bit, links to the courses on our website, all of the courses and the recommended topics and the memberships that we have. And then here, this is a link. If you click on this button, this will take you to the GDC website, to its page describing the recommended CPD topics. Then under here, we provided information on how to add a learning need. We'll do this in 1 second. And the GDC Development Outcomes if you need reminding what they are, A, B, C or D. Now, the GDC does provide 2 Word documents as templates for specifying your PDP and your CPD activities. But the Excel template is a lot more flexible, and this let's have a quick example of what I mean by that. For here, we've got these learning needs. Now, you might want to sort this information. So, for example, we've already sorted it by the relevance to field of practice and the learning need. That's done alphabetically. But you may well want, for example, to see when activities are due by. So if you click up here, I'll show you again, if you click up here, that little triangle to the right of due by, and then click on sort oldest to newest, you can now see it is sorting all these activities by their due by dates. You may also, for example, want to sort by status. So what have you done, what's overdue, and what's been completed. So if we go sort A to Z here, you'll see it changes. These are now sorted by the completion status, completed, due and overdue. If you did want to sort by more than one of these columns, what you would need to do is go up to Home and then go to Sort and Filter. Leave that filter button selected, otherwise these will disappear. If you do deselect it, you can always reselect it, but you select Custom Sort and then you can change, specify whatever you wish. So for example, we could go to Relevance of Field of Practice, A to Z, Add Level, Learning Need, A to Z, and then what you'll see now is this now selects it back to where we were before. Let's have a quick look now at adding a learning need. If we go back to here, you'll see that we've given an example specialised in endodontics. So let's say we're going to do that. So click back on the PDP tab. To add it, what you do, this is important, you need to click on one of the existing entries. We really recommend actually clicking on the last one. If we scroll down here a bit, you'll see this information is provided here. So we click on this, right click. If you are using one of the mobile versions, you need to actually click on the row header over on the left hand side, tap on it, a little menu comes up. So anyway, right click, select insert, and notice you can go rows above or below, doesn't matter which. Let's go below. So let's add the learning need here, specialise in endodontics. So here I've added the learning needs, specialised in endodontics. The activity is to investigate training pathways, costs, etc. And a due by date, 1st of June 2019. I have added a development outcome here as well, or that's strictly not necessary. That's only relevant to verifiable CPD activities. You can, of course, use your PDP for both verifiable and what used to be termed as general CPD activities. So once that's been done, you've constructed your PDP. So just to refresh, go through these ones that we've already added for you, the recommended and highly recommended topics, and amend them as you wish to. We have provided links to courses on our website, but these of course get updated, so change them as you see fit. And then make sure you change the due by dates and status and the criteria, etc. So you've created your PDP, and now you're starting to carry out your CPD activities that correspond to the activities in the PDP and the learning needs that you've identified. And you record them here in the Cpd Activities Worksheet, or the tab down at the bottom of the screen. What we have done is enter some for you that correspond with some of the activities in the PDP. So here you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for example, at the top, Enhanced CPD, what dentists and DCPs need to know. If we just click back on the PDP, and you will see under legal and ethical issues, there is Enhanced CPD Essentials. So there is the course which you needed to complete by the 31st of January 2018. So you did do that, and here it is. So let's run through it. Date, title, time awarded, documentary evidence, which is normally a certificate, but it might be possibly be something else. We've included the recommended or highly recommended subject categories here, aims and objectives and outcomes. These are the description of the course. We provide aims, objectives and outcomes for all of our courses, which is why we've provided 3 columns here, but you could just use one of them if you really wanted to, it doesn't really matter. Gdc Development Outcomes, these are the outcomes that you marked as actually being delivered by the course rather than what the CPD provider thought they might be. They may be the same, they may not. And then what did I learn, and follow-up activities. And the follow-up activities you would then add to your PDP and then create new activities, etc. A couple of things just a note here, let's just zoom in a little bit. Just a few little tips about using Excel. On the left-hand side, we've, of course, provided the normal instructions that we provided on the other tab, the guide to how to use this worksheet. You'll note here, little column here, date, it's not quite displaying correctly. So if you actually just move your pointer, your mouse, and double-click up here, you notice it expands. And the same on the, if you look at the row height here, you see over here, you can't see everything. So if you just click there, it expands. Just some things to know about, quite handy. We have, as for the PDP, highlighted the information that the GDC requires should it ask to see your certificate with this pink background. Okay? So date, title, time awarded, aims, objectives, that's the description. Okay, and the development outcomes there. We've highlighted those. You can change the colours of these if you really want to. If you just go to a column heading and then just go format cells, fill, and you can change your colour. It's entirely up to you. Anyway, back to business. At the bottom of the screen, just some explanatory notes about the columns. So as for the PDP, if you actually want to add, not if, when you actually add your Cpd activities, recommend click on the bottom one here, okay? Right click and go insert, tables above, tables below. It doesn't really matter which. You can do it in any of these, so I recommend doing it on the bottom. You'll notice if you don't use the bottom row, it just gives you tables above. You use the bottom row. That's what I recommend. If you don't, it doesn't matter terribly, but I'd recommend using that. We've added a little note here about certificates. If you right click and go link, you can pick your certificate. Okay. And so, if, for example, what I'd recommend that if you should really store your certificates in the same place you store the this template. So, for example, if you put them on your cloud storage like OneDrive, put them in there, put them in the folder in there, and then link to them. So you've got everything all in one place. Very simple. No panicking at the end of the year. Cpd activity description here. Just what I mentioned above, the GDC actually asks for a description of the CPD, so you don't have to fill all these 3 boxes. These just correspond with the information we provide on our courses, which tells you really everything you need to know. So you can just fill in one if you want to. That's your course description. But for our courses, just copy the information from our courses into here. And then the development outcomes. As I mentioned before, the GDC actually wants you to note down the development outcomes that were actually realised by the course, which may or may not be the same as those that were promised. And of course they can vary, of course, from participant to participant. Right, now, so what you will want to do is, once you've had a look at these, is modify these ones and amend them to meet your own activities. If we just pop back to the PDP, you will notice, remember I showed how to do this previously. Let's just put that back to completed. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 courses completed here, but we've only got 5 in our Cpd activities list. The one that is missing is this one, all changed, that course there. So let's add it. I'll show you what to do. So we go back to here, right click, insert. We can go above or below, doesn't really matter which. I'm going to go below here. Here is the certificate downloaded from our website for FLOSS. Let's have a little look. So you can see that FLOSS completed this on the 14th of June 2018. So 14th of June 2018. Wonderful. Easiest way to enter the information, just simply copy and paste it. So I'm just going to do this. I'll do this one. Pop it in there. Now, if you paste straight into a field, there are various things that you can do. If you just do this, I'm using Control V. I'm using a PC here. Command V. I think on the Mac is the same thing. You'll notice that when I do that, I get an odd thing here. It's put a second row in. I don't want to do that. So I would suggest you simply go up to the box here. If that box isn't showing, the formula box, click on View, okay, and select that, turn that on, okay. So View, okay, that's off. Turn it. Make sure it's on. So I need to click back down there and do that. There are other ways of doing it. You'll notice if I right click here, you can do a paste special, and that gives you an option just to put text in. Right, let me add the rest of the information. So I've added the information. 14th of June 2018, the course title, the time awarded, 1 hour 40 minutes. The time does need to be accurate. It mustn't be rounded up to the nearest hour. That only happens at the end of the CPD year. The certificate, it's a recommended subject, legal and ethical issues, aims, objectives, outcomes, development outcomes, A, B, C, which is actually different from the information provided in the provider's course information. What did I learn? And some follow-up activities. I mentioned about linking to the certificate. So if we just do this, right click link, and then I can find it. When you do this, by the way, when you use the link, it's going to look for Office files first of all, so it'll be blank because our certificates are PDF files. So just go down to here, change that to all files, and there it is. Okay. And when you click on that, it'll bring up the certificate. Simple. So just one last thing to note here. You can see at the bottom, down here is the total number of CPD hours. It's now changed. It's now 11 hours 45 minutes. And we mentioned here about follow-up activities. So what you should do here is go back to the PDP, new learning need, add the activity, etc. And remember, as I discussed before, this doesn't just have to be for verifiable CPD activities. That's what most people probably use it for, but it should be for anything relating to your professional development. So once you've done that, now towards the end of the year, you're going to be looking at this tab here, the summary, because this summarises the CPD activities that you've done. One thing to note here, you see it says 1005, which is not the same as that. When you add a CPD activity, this total here, this is calculated when the file is saved. So to update it, you either need to save it, exit it, and then reopen it again. But what's more easy is this. Just right click on any one of the fields in this little table here. So I'll pick that one, right click, and select refresh, and there you go. So that's now accurate. So if figures don't look right, that's what you do. The only other reason why they might be wrong is because what you've done is you've added your CPD activities below this line here. They need to be in this table above this line. Okay. If you do add them down there, what you should do is add a new row here and then copy what you've entered there into here. But they must be in this table. If you're not in the table, the summary will not work properly. So, a couple of things for the summary. As you can see here, it's broken down your CPD time. You've got totals for each year, 2018, 2019. And if we add 2020, that will simply appear. You can filter this. So if I go to here and I just want to see, this is going to be, of course, very important for checking that you've done the right amount or the minimum number of hours of the highly recommended subjects and at least done something in the recommended subjects. So if we pick radiography and radiation protection, for example, and go like this, it's going to show you that in 2018 you did 2 hours and 50 minutes. Now you might go, what on earth was that? At the moment it's easy to find out because you've not got that many entries under CPD activities. Not that difficult, and you can just do search for it as well. But what makes it even more easy is you click on this, bang, there is the title, there is the time. Collapse it. It goes. And you can do the same thing for years. So if we do this, for example, let's reset that to all. And then we go on years, and we just go 2018. Sorry, like that. We just get 2018. If you want to do that. So this is very flexible. You can't do this with a Word document. There we go. And your details are up here. Floss Daily, registration number, cycle, profession. And that is essentially using the template. Two more things just very briefly to show you. If you are requested or you need to export this information, for example, the GDC asks you for it, several ways you can do it. One of the probably the easiest ways to do it is as follows. So the easiest way to do this, I'm going to select up here and I'm going to go down to here, copy it, go into Word, paste. I don't want that column there, so I select it, delete it, done. Probably the simplest way to do it. Very easy. Other options include exporting the information. So for example, I can go to File, Save As. Going to give it a title here. Pick a file type. I'm just going to pick a text file. Go save. Little message comes up here, says this file type doesn't support workbooks that have multiple sheets. This workbook's got lots of sheets. It's only the active one, which is PDP. We're going to go OK. Now it's now saved it. You'll notice at the top actually the file name changes, and you'll notice the PDP worksheet has changed here. Don't panic about that. If I close this, you see there's the file name there. If you don't save, and then you look on your computer and open it up, there is the file. And your original one is in place. And then you just need to delete the ones that you don't need. So we would delete these columns. And that's the information you require. You can send that. Probably using Word is the most simple way to do it. And you just do the same thing for your Cpd activities. So I've just reopened the file and you can see it didn't get overwritten. I would suggest using Word. I think it's the easiest thing to do. And again, you do the same from here. So we copy this column, just go down to this one, go down to your bottom entry. That's our here. You might of course scroll down as you're entering more activities and paste it into Word, and it's done. The only thing I would just like to say now is that I hope this has really helped you understand how the template will enable you to not only fulfill the mandatory requirements of the GDC, but actually use it to direct your career and measure the effectiveness of your Cpd activities. What would be really good is once you've been using it, please do complete our survey. If you click on the bottom here, on the little survey button, that will open up on our website. If you do this, the survey. So please do complete it because it gives us some very valuable feedback. We need to know what's working, what's not working so well, etc. So we can continue to deliver a really good service to you. I hope you're going to find this very, very useful. So any questions, please do either submit a support ticket, but even better, just submit your questions in the community group for the template, and we will do our best to answer them for you. Thank you very much.